Hello, good evening, Namaskar. I am Ajit Kumar Jha, the editor of the Public Global and the CEO of Power Pixar. And today I want to focus on the Middle East, back to the big crisis that has emerged, the latest crisis that has emerged after Israel has attacked Iran. Iran has fought back. You have seen missiles from both sides. You have seen the situation, tense situation inside Iran and other parts of Iran, in Tehran and other parts of Iran. People are trying to leave Tehran in huge numbers. People have been killed there. And you have seen a similar situation to a much lesser extent inside Israel. So I want to start from there. And the big question that Donald Trump has changed his position for the first 6 months. When he came to power in January, he believed that the Iranians were actually carrying on the uranium enrichment program for peaceful purposes. He's on record saying that, so are his advisors. But of late, in the last couple of weeks or so, especially in the last 3 days, they have switched sides. Donald Trump has said the following. He has actually talked about that his approach towards nuclear negotiations with Iran did not work out, and therefore he feels he has learned from the Israelis the tough way they have basically ended up isolating Iran. They have devastated Iran in the last few days. The way they did it, the clandestine operations where Mossad entered Iran in a major way and attacked Iranian facilities. The Americans are actually, instead of protesting against it, they are actually admiring it. They are pointing out, oh, what a wonderful way. Maybe this is the easier way of teaching Iran a lesson. And Iran has been never liked by the West, especially by America. There are long sort of history, which I don't want to go to today. But the fact of the matter is that in the past, Americans were trying to negotiate with Iran, and now they have switched sides and they are planning to, at least Donald Trump is planning to attack Iran. How do we know? We know because of several reasons. We have seen heavy base movement inside Europe, in Spain, in France, in other areas. Somehow at least one group of strategic experts believe that if Iran is attacked, it should be from Europe or the bases in Europe, not from the Middle East, not, for example, from the Al-Adid base in Qatar. Why? Because they feel that Iranians might find it easier to respond back in the Middle East because the range of their missiles are such they can easily reach Qatar or Saudi Arabia or some of the other Gulf Arab states where the Americans have bases. And they might even attacking the Strait of Hormuz. And in fact, there are reports that 3 of the ships in the Strait of Hormuz has been destroyed. I don't know how far it is true, but reports are emanating about such sort of destruction. So the Americans are calculating that it will be better if we use the European bases, as I said, in Spain, in Greece, and other countries, and they feel that Iran may not be able to reach that. Also, they are afraid of if a different kind of war begins inside the Middle East, Iran, a Shia Muslim state versus the Sunni Muslim states of the Gulf Arab states. Now that might start a different kind of conflict, leading to all kinds of quote unquote terrorist outfits coming up. I mean, we know that in the past, in the recent past, Israel has been able to almost finish off Hamas in a major way, at least for the time being. and a major part of the Hezbollah. Now, the Hezbollah used to be, in a way, considered as proxy of Iran. The Hezbollah is largely active in southern Lebanon, and basically, with the help of Iran, it was attacking Israel. Iran has also, in the past, made statements. Iranian, rulers have made statements that they are going to finish off Israel. They are going to finish off America. Now, they might not have the strength to do it, the military strength to do it, but the rhetoric itself is directed towards Israel and America. So therefore, this war has begun. Israel decided, and what are the main causes? Why do we feel? Why did the Israelis start this war? It felt that it could that the Iranians are making nuclear bombs under this pretext of uranium enrichment, and therefore the balance of the region is going to change. Although the truth is that Israelis already is a nuclear state, but it doesn't openly say so. But they do not want any other nuclear state of rivals in the region, because they feel that then the balance of the region will tilt, and therefore they want to finish any kind of fear of a possible nuclear nuclear bomb in Iranian hands. So that is one. Number two is this whole theory that the Israelis want a regime change inside Iran. And so do the Americans. They want a regime change. They want to get rid of the Ayatollahs in Iran. In fact, President Trump's statement recently, where he said, where he told Ayatollah Khamenei openly that we know exactly where you are hiding. Our facilities, our intelligence shows us where you are, and if we want, we can get rid of you. We can kill you. Now, this is a direct statement which shows that it's not only nuclear. They don't only see Iran as a nuclear threat, but they want a regime change there. They want to get rid of Ayatollah Khamenei. Already, several of his leaders have been killed. The top nuclear scientists in Iran has been killed by the Israelis. The Israelis attacked, but they want to end with getting rid of Mr. Khamenei. Now, the thing is, Mr. Khamenei, by the way, is not very popular within Iran. We have seen in the past a lot of protest movements led by women, led by the youth, led by people who are secular. A lot of them are actually Iranians who live abroad. They have been against Ayatollah Khamenei. For several of the human rights agencies have protested against him. So he's a rather unpopular person, but he has survived for so long. And will he survive further, or if the Americans bomb Iran along with the Israelis, will they get rid of Ali Khamenei? That is something that the future we'll see which way this conflict ends up. But the issue of regime change is very, very important here. There is a third reason why this war began, why Israel attacked Iran, and that is internal to Israeli politics. Benjamin Netanyahu, before this whole operation with Hamas began, he was almost on the verge of losing a popular election in Israel. He had become very isolated and very unpopular. And now this war with the Hamas, this attack on Gaza, might have internationally isolated Israel to some extent, especially among human rights groups. Even some European countries like UK and France were critical of what Benjamin Netanyahu was carrying out in Palestine, where children were dying, women were dying, all kinds of facilities, hospitals were being bombed, schools and colleges were being bombed under one pretext or the other. But it has strengthened Benjamin Netanyahu a great deal inside Israel. A politician who was almost on the verge of losing his election has suddenly now become this great charismatic hero of Israel, because given these attacks on Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran now, there has been a kind of new nationalism that has consolidated Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu's position, and maybe the fact that he's trapped in this position whereby he has to go ahead and carry out another war to further strengthen his position. So that's the third takeaway why Israel ended up attacking Iran. Finally, the fact that no one wants a nuclear Iran, no one in the region, neither do the Americans, nor do the Europeans, nor does Israel, certainly doesn't, and neither do the Arabs. The peculiarity of the situation in the Middle East. You have one Persian power, one Turkish power, and majority Arabs. And the six Gulf Arab states, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Oman, the UAE, Kuwait, and Bahrain, majority of those regimes are Sunni regimes, and it's a Arab monarchies. So they do not like this Persian sort of Ayatollah to be so powerful in the region. There are a lot of other factors as well. One factor I just want to touch upon, not go into details, is the fact that Qatar, one of the Gulf Arab states, and Iran and Russia are the three major players when it comes to gas, LNG, liquefied natural gas. The other Arab states, namely Saudi Arabia, in this case Abu Dhabi, UAE, but Abu Dhabi, these countries, and Kuwait as well, these countries are heavy on oil. So there is a kind of competition between the oil politics and the gas politics in this region. And as a result, Iran is again isolated. At one time, Qatar used to have a special relationship with Iran and in the region, but Qatar is also a proxy of the US. After all, the Al-Udi, the base, is right there in Qatar, in just a few miles, let's say, from Doha, its capital. So the Qataris are very close to the Americans. So they have also sided this time. I mean, you saw when Donald Trump did his first international visit, he went to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE and Abu Dhabi, and you saw the kind of gifts he got. Planes were given to him as gifts, personal gifts by the Qatari monarchy, by Saudis and others. In fact, I remember in a press conference or in Abu Dhabi, Donald Trump saying, "I have received $13 trillion of aid and gift from this region." He was so thrilled with this entire sort of connection that Donald Trump and his family has with these monarchies. So all of them none of them want Iran to have a nuclear bomb. Most of them hate the Iranian regime, Ayatollah Khamenei, and he's neither popular inside his own country, but certainly hated by these countries. And therefore, they all, in a way, they might make statements here and there, but all of them give support, or even if it is sort of, let's say, a silent support to the Israeli attack on Iran. So the only possible countries that are in support of Iran, not openly so, but at least diplomatically from behind, are Russia and China. And we have seen some statements, not loud ones, saying that if the Americans and the others were to join in this war of Israel against Iran, then don't forget Iran also has supporters among us, meaning China and Russia. But beyond that, we have not seen much of a sort of powerful support for Iran openly, diplomatically, or otherwise. Now, the other question is, uh, what are the possible consequences of this war, which I could not touch upon in my last video because I ran out of time. In the short term, it is going to make the world again very unstable. We have seen the Ukraine-Russia war. We have seen the attack by Israel on Palestine. We have seen what it has done to the entire world. The entire world just came out about, let's say, 2.5 years ago from this massive medical crisis, corona. The world economy is very unstable. America is on the point of a recession. The world trade war, the world tariff war going on that Donald Trump has unleashed since he became the president, the massive trade war with China, the massive trade war initially with Canada, with even European countries, India, all the world over. That has shaken the world. So the world is being battered from one side and the other. Economic crisis, political crisis, sort of war-like situation, and this is the consequences of it can be disastrous. In the short term, it is certainly going to affect oil prices, and there are talks of oil prices about to shoot through the roof, can go as high as $120 or even $150 per barrel. Now that is going to have a major negative effect on the entire world economy. It is going to shoot up the inflation rate all over. Within Iran right now, the inflation rate is almost touching 40%, and it could get worse in Iran. In fact, it won't be a joke to say, or it won't be a hyperbole to say that Iran is teetering on the brink of a major crisis. Iran is, remember Iran. I mean, at one time, it used to be the Persian Empire. It was as strong as the Ottoman Empire, even stronger, some people would argue. It has had a great history. It has struggled in the past. Remember the 8-year-long war it had with Iraq, but despite that, Iran was able to rebuild itself. After Ayatollah Khamenei had come to and got rid of the Shah of Iran, there was a revolution in Iran, and the clerics became very important. It brought in some kind of democracy because you have some kind of elections, but it also brought in a very, very fanatic, I would argue, sort of Islamic regime, which was very anti-women, very anti-modernization, always ended up threatening, Israel, America, and other Western countries. Remember the Salman Rushdie incident when he wrote the book Satanic Verses. Remember how the Iranian regime had forced him into into some kind of hiding because they wanted to get rid of him. So in a way, I am not a great favorite of the Iranian regime, but it seems that its nuclear enrichment program, its uranium enrichment program, most scholars believe that that was rather peaceful. Iran is a member, Iran has signed the NPT, non-proliferation treaty. It did not want to become a nuclear power, but Israel thought otherwise. As I pointed out, one reason could be the fact that Benjamin Netanyahu was feeling sort of unsafe. He felt that he might lose power. In order to maximize his power, he needs to move from one crisis to the other. Of course, he has been very successful. He has very successfully planned all these attacks, whether it's in Palestine, whether it was on the Hezbollah, whether it is on Iran right now. And he has done a great job of it in a way. and has emerged as a serious leader of the Middle East. But he needs to keep moving from one crisis to the other to bolster up his position inside Israel. So he continues with this, and he has asked the Americans to help with getting rid of as I said, the nuclear facilities. Some of these nuclear facilities of Iran are actually buried deep inside the ground below a hill, and it is difficult for the Israelis to reach it. So therefore, the Israelis have asked Americans to help them. Americans do have the potential of doing it. Will they be able to do it or not? That only time will tell. But the situation is quite bad in the Strait of Hormuz. For example, there have been reports that 3 ships have been destroyed there. 25% of Indian oil ends up being imported from the Strait of Hormuz, comes from that region. Immediately, that might have an impact on oil prices in India. Remember also, Israel is the second biggest defense ally of India. So even if the Indians have sympathies for Iran, but given real politics, given the way Indian-Israeli interests have shaped up in the recent past, ever since Prime Minister Modi has come, even a bit before that, India is clearly on the side of Israel and America, although India is not openly saying anything. It's not condemning Israel. It's not taking sides. It seems to stay quiet. But strategically, anyone can see that India is on the side of Israel, on the side of the US and the West here. When it comes to the issue of China, India and China has the largest sort of trade links. In fact, right now, Indian-Chinese trade links is the highest when it comes to trade links with any other country. The US is number 2 after China, and the UAE and other countries are number 3 and below. So the truth is, in fact, among the 5th partner is Saudi Arabia. So India has very strong links, economic links with China, as I said, of course, with the US, with Saudi Arabia, with UAE and Saudi Arabia in that order. But at the same time, India has close defense ties with Israel, with the United States. In fact, Israel was a big help for India during the India-Pakistan war. I do not want to go into details of defense and strategy here, but the future of this war, if America were to get involved, where would it end up? Would it end up into further escalation from which it will be very difficult to de-escalate, number 1. Number 2, will it lead to some kind of, the fear people have of a 3rd world war? Why? Because if you remember the history, in the history, the First World War started from this region of 5 big seas, if one want to talk of, the Caspian Sea, the Black Sea, the Red Sea, the Persian Gulf. This entire area has been an unstable area from, let's say, the First World War or even before that. And if you remember the killing of the Sarajevo prince that started the First World War, has sort of developed in this region. And right now, the situation is quite unstable. In fact, next to Black Sea, you have Ukraine-Russia war going on. Below, near the Persian Gulf, you have seen Israel's attack on Palestine and what has happened since that began. and then its attack and its fight with Hezbollah, and then the Houthis jumping in, and then finally this attack on Iran. What we are seeing today is the build-up of a serious, serious crisis in this region. This region is like a powder keg, and any day it can switch into a nuclear war, because here Israel is a nuclear country. America is clearly so. If Iran is building nuclear facilities, and again, let me also point out the recent friendship between Pakistan and America. Some analysts feel that the Americans, Donald Trump, is going to use Pakistan again to destabilize Iran. So this entire situation, this entire area, as I said, is series of fundamental, what I would call serious crisis points, and this could end up towards a long-term series of wars, which could end up into what the fear is of a third world war. And given the fact that these are nuclear powers, there is fear of a nuclear conflagration from this region, and its impact on the world economy, which is already on the precipice of a disaster. It's totally negative. I don't see anything positive coming out, whether the Americans and the Israelis try a regime change inside Iran, or they attempt to finish off Iranian nuclear ambition. Because the question of regime change, let me just pick up one point. We don't know if Ayatollah Khamenei is gotten rid of by the Americans and the Israelis. What is going to be the alternative? We do not see a organized political party that can come and take over. We see some human rights group, we see some protesters, we see some Iranian diaspora who do not like the present regime and would like a change. There are also some stories about Ayatollah Khamenei's nephew staying somewhere in France, who has made a statement. He has been out of the country for a long time. We see sort of smaller protests or smaller sections of Iranians who would like a regime change, but we do not know from where an alternative solid secular regime can come back to Iran. I don't think the Americans or the Israelis have given much thought to that. And imagine a long-term religious cleric movement which began almost about 45, 50 years, almost a quarter of a century ago. That sort of ending because of a war from above, an invasion by Israelis and Americans, that could send a lot of internal crisis within Iran. And what will be the shape of that? One just fears at this moment, given the kind of situation prevailing in the region. So a regime change, and at the same time, Iranian isolation is enough to tell us that this is not going the right way. One is waiting to see further support from China and Russia. Some of it has come, but not in a major way. So we still don't know which shape it will take. It will all depend on how Donald Trump is going to step in and start maybe the bombardment of Iran, or will he just threaten Iran to bring them to the negotiating table? That is still undecided, but let me point out that this is a situation which can end up in any way, all of them negative, nothing positive. Thank you very much.